Jason Post of Hill City coming in as a junior with a 27-3 mark. He's matched up against Tyler Samuelson from Oakley, a Plainsman. He's a freshman coming into 26-1. Jason Post, had a great tournament last year. We just mentioned a 103 state champion last year, moving up to 112. First at the Panther Classic, first in the Mid-Continent League. For Tyler Samuelson from Oakley, he was second in the Northwest Kansas League to Woolsey of Oberlin. He took first at the Colby Regional.
Of course, Samuelson also, his father is the coach there at Oakley, so I'm sure that the coach has a little bit more than the usual interest in this match.
You think so?
Yeah, he's been a pretty good wrestler all year. I've seen him at the Hayes High tournament, and he's just pretty tough, pretty salty.
Post from Hill City in the black singlet, Tyler Samuelson in the Plainsman gold and purple. So they worked out of bounds. Again, Samuelson came in here with a win over Porter from Leota, 4-0. And Post came here with a 5-2 win over Jason Podorf. Good matchup there. Podorf from Silver Lake. We're just underway in this first period. No score.
Of course, Samuelson's only lost one match this year, so that's pretty good. Post has lost 3, so they could have lost to each other somewhere along the line.
Well, this is a rematch from the Colby Regional, I believe. They were both at Colby, if our information is right.
That's right, and I think Samuelson won that match, didn't he?
Yeah, he took first to Colby, and Post took second. No score yet. Minute 3 left in this first period. I'm going to double check that again. For some reason, that doesn't sound right, but I bet you we're right. Boy, the media's done a good job of putting this all together. We've had to rely on the print media, the Hayes Daily News, the Salina Journal, Wichita Eagle, Hutchison paper. We just had to rely on a lot of their help. And look at all the radio stations up there. I tell you, this has become a big event, hasn't it?
More than I've ever seen before. I noticed before the finals started something that we haven't seen for a while. It used to be when I was in high school and first started coaching, you'd get up in the Northwest Kansas before those tournaments and they'd start trying to outdo each other on their cheers, and we had that going on here tonight too.
We had a wave going on here. I'll tell you, a real colorful fan fest today. Again, there's a nice move, no score, and Samuelson trying to get that leg.
He's in there with a good single, and he's got to crash that other one out. He's got his takedown. Of course, our referee here is Mark Wallace from Salina, his assistant Jerry Meyer from Topeka. Jerry used to coach at Perry LeCompton and at Highland Park before he decided to get into the enforcement side of things.
Tyler Samuelson, we were right, did beat Jason Post at the regional at Colby. No score available from that match. Brady Beek, the head coach, longtime head coach at Hill City for Post. He's had several state champions, a large number of state champions over the years. And that's the end of the first period. 2-zip. Samuelson out in front with that single leg takedown as Post was heading out of bounds.
As I recall reading when Brady first came to Hill City, one of the reasons they brought him there was they wanted him to build him into a state contender, and he's certainly done that. He's done an excellent job. He's got his down years, but he's always up in the middle of things.
Yeah, he's always right in the middle of it.
Samuelson trying for the inside switch there. If he can get that ankle free, he might have a shot at it.
We mentioned the Oakley Plainsmen. They came in here possibly the team favorite, ranked number 1 by the Kansas Wrestling Coaches Association. And number 1, they had a shot at it. Stockton has a team title put away, it looks like. They have a shot at second. They were looking for their first state title, Fred, since 1974. Boy, this had a tremendous season. They were 11-0-1 in dual action, and they won that tough Hayes High tournament, the Prairie Classic.
Yeah, they've had a good year. Of course, Samuelson just got his reversal there, but they've had a good year, but they just evidently didn't have the horses coming into it to be able to pull it off. They lost a close heavyweight semifinal last night to Josh Dinas from Waukene, and it's just been key matches here and there for them.
Oakley brought 8 wrestlers into this tournament, so they had a legitimate shot at it. 56 seconds in this second period, 4-0. Tyler Samuelson, a freshman. Wow, second rank coming in for the Plainsmen, out in front of Jason Post from Hill City, a junior.
Looks like Samuelson's pretty well got things under control right now. He's able to keep Post broken down, keep his hips out of the action, and he can't get his base up.
Jason Post was the champ at 103 last year. He defeated Longacre of, I believe, what, Eudora? Longacre was from Eudora. Yes, he was in the tournament again this year, and he had a good match against him last year. Right now, a little delay in the time, an injury timeout.
Got a bloody nose, so we don't take injury timeout for that. We just take the time and let him get it fixed. But
okay.
Bloody nose is the only thing that does not take injury timeout.
Well, see, in any other sport, that would be an injury timeout, right? But in wrestling, boy, that's
well,
just
that's not an injury. That's just a condition of the sport. I mean, anybody that's wrestled and not had a bloody nose has not really experienced wrestling.
So you got to have a little bit of blood, okay, to experience that. And of course, the staff here at Fort Hays State University, the trainers, again, wearing, if you notice, the plastic gloves as they do this work, in light of the last couple of years and an awareness with AIDS and any other type of transmittable disease. So making sure the mat's clean, checking the wrestlers, a lot more caution and precaution being taken at this point in time.
Yes, much more so than several years back, where a lot of times we just let it run. And but we've come more and more to realize that we need to stop and get it cleaned up.
And justly so. You want to make sure, first and foremost, the safety of the wrestlers. And high school sports is something tremendous, as we can see the turnout from these towns. Just really generates a lot of energy and excitement. And these young men, this is their chance to shine. As we said, quite a few wrestlers coming in, and it's down to 13 matches and 26 wrestlers. This is their limelight. 35 seconds left in the second match, 4-0. Samuelson in the purple singlet being the aggressor right now against Post, who won a state championship last year at 103. And I'll tell you, this might be a mild upset of sorts. I don't know if we could call it that, as Post moved up to 112.
Well, I don't know if you could call it an upset, except in the sense that the Samuelson is a freshman. And, of course, Post is a junior, and he did win a state championship last year, so I guess you would have to say that there's possible upset here.
We'll go out on the limb and say it. I tell you, Samuelson is very aggressive right now. Post working from the bottom, not having much luck. We got 10 seconds left in the second period. Again, Post being bothered by that bloody nose. Samuelson trying to bring him down, and that's the time, says the clock. Again, they're going to have to check the nose just for a second. 4-0 at the end of 2 periods. Samuelson out in front. Settle something for me, Fred. I've heard a gentleman by the name of Wayne Yu, but I don't know if you know the name, was a wrestling coach up in Phillipsburg for a few years back in the 50s. Worked with some of the greats. Got programs really started in high school. He used to call it wrestling, and I've heard people call it wrestling. Which is the correct way?
Well, to my way of thinking, on television you watch wrestling, and here you watch wrestling.
But he sure put out some pretty good wrestlers. He called them wrestlers, but he put out some good wrestlers. Whatever you call it, it's pretty exciting. They're still having some trouble with some bloody nose right now of Jason Post, so we've got just a short break in the action, right? Not a timeout.
Right.
But if you're Samuelson right now, you've got a 4-0 lead, and give me some strategies here. Still going to be the aggressor at this point, or do you change what you've been doing right?
Well, you should still be the aggressor, but you want to use cautious aggression, because you don't want to do something that's going to get you turned over on your back or whatever. He can give up some points, but he can only give up 3 and still win it. So he has to be kind of careful as to how many points he gives up. And of course, depending on how he feels on his feet, he might want to give him an escape. He just gave him a reversal there instead of the escape. But he's coming right back into it, trying to get it back.
Well, the crowd's starting to get into this as the wrestlers are really pushing. A minute 40 left in the third period.
Okay, we've got the 2-point reversal there for Samuelson on that Granby cradle.
As they go out of bounds, it was 4-2. I was starting to say, just as I said, that the score bumped up to 6-2. Boy, that cradle you really have to use your legs to drive that back and to gain any advantage when you get in that position.
Yeah, and the tighter you can pull that arm in, the better off you are. But it's a tough thing to work. Of course, ultimately, they like to get the head and the bottom leg, and then you can pretty much go for the pin then.
A minute 35 left in the second period, 6-2. Samuelson on top. Post really has his work cut out from the bottom, and the official says, wait a minute, somebody jumped a bit too soon.
Yeah, they get 2 cautions before there's any penalty, so that doesn't hurt him much. Just takes him one step closer to a possible penalty.
Someone started out a bit too quick. Post a little bit too quick, jumping out before Samuelson in place. A minute 30 and counting, 6-2. Samuelson from Oakley. The Plainsmen out in front.
Yeah, Samuelson's riding him pretty tough. He's got pretty much control over the match and trying to work that spiral right in there and keep him down. So it would appear at this point that he's pretty much got things in hand. But of course, Post is not ready to concede that yet.
Yeah, don't tell Jason that. Getting a ring neck against the Plainsman coming in. Jason Post was the number 1 ranked wrestler. Tyler Samuelson of Oakley, the number 2 ranked wrestler. Post to get here, as we said, beat Jason Plowdorf. Post with a 12-9 victory over Billy Smith of Norton to get here. Then he beat Plowdorf. For Tyler Samuelson, he had to beat Longacre to get here with a fall. First of all, he had to beat Evans of Remington with a fall, and then he beat Longacre of Eudora 7-0. And then he got by Porter, as we said, 8-4. Porter from Leota.
See, we have to remember here, if Post can come with a reversal and a 3-point near fall, he's in front by 1 point, and that's not all that unusual.
He's working from underneath right now, trying to get away, but Samuelson grabbed that left foot.
Post is looking for that roll into the Granby cradle. He's coming out the other way now for a reversal, so we're down to 6-4 now.
25 seconds. Samuelson on the bottom, up by 2, and Post attacking.
He's got 15 seconds to do it, but I think Samuelson's probably going to be able to hang on for it.
Well, he's hanging on to that left leg, isn't he?
Oh, he's not about to let go of that. He's got his reversal back.
2 seconds. That's the match. Wow. Nice effort by Post trying to come back. And it looks like the freshman, our second freshman of the day, is a champion. Tyler Samuelson, the Plainsman from Oakley, winning 8-4. Good effort by both wrestlers. Jason Post of Hill City takes second. Samuelson ups his record to 27-1. Jason finishes a fine year at 27-4. So runner-up this year, first last year as he moves up in weight class. So good effort by both wrestlers at 112.
Yeah, you know, Gable and Samuelson both now have a pretty rough road ahead of them because there have only been about 3 or 4 four-time state champions, and it just doesn't happen very often. It's tough as they go up.
I'm trying to place a couple of those. I was thinking of Wes Harding.
Matt West was only 3-timer.
3-time.
Treaster from Beloit.
Yes.
And
it'll come to us as we go along this evening, but there weren't. It's a very uncommon thing.
I just read the names the other day, and I can't remember them now.
Well, if they pop into our heads, we'll pass them on to you.
103.
We're taking a look at the champions, or at least the medals, at 103. And just like last year, they started their last year. They're giving out 6 medals, 6 places, and that's kind of nice for the wrestlers. And good deal.
Coaches have been asking for that for a long time.
Bill Howard.
You can argue good deal, bad deal as long as you want to, but you know, the kid works pretty hard to get here, and he's gone that far, and he's done that well, and he loses in the consolation semifinals. They said, let's go ahead and give him a shot.
Jason Wilker.
That sounds good. Anyway, the kids are getting some nice recognition for all the hard work. 6th place at 103 as they're handing out the wrestling medals. Joshua Welsh of Poisington, 5th place to Bill Howard of Oberlin. 4th place to Jason Woofter of Hoxie. Josh Price of Stockton takes 3rd. 2nd place goes to Dustin Steinley of Leota. And the winner, Billy Gable, he gets the gold. Billy Gable from St. Francis. Gable again with the winner, 13-2 in our first match in the 103.